Welcome to the Blow Up the Blueprint podcast, where it's all about how to use creative thinking in your business for a standout brand. With your host, Joe Gifford.
Hi guys, it's Joe Gifford here. Welcome to episode 15 of the Blow Up the Blueprint podcast. Today, I'm so excited to be sharing with you this interview with my dear friends, Peter and Seema from Tap Into Flow. We have a really excitable discussion which looks into exactly how the flow state helps you dream bigger and be more productive. Some key examples of how Seema and Peter have applied flow, not only to their lives, but to the lives of their clients, and how they are now taking flow on the road as they speak to me from their RV van in Italy. They are literally the examples of living the dream. There is so much gold dust in here, guys, that I know you will really enjoy this episode. So on with the interview with Seema and Peter. Do let us know what you think. So, Seema and Peter, hello.
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 Welcome to the Blow Up the Blueprint podcast. Now, we've just had to start officially because we just started to go down a little rabbit hole of our own excitement about what we're going to be talking about, guys. So, so I would love for you to introduce yourself to everybody listening. What do you do, guys?
Go ahead.
Go for it, Seema.
Yeah. So, hi, everybody. I'm Seema Sodha, and I'm a coach. I'm a flow artist, which is the term that we've given ourselves because our mission is to live and to teach how to live a life in flow. And we'll get into later on in the show about what's so important and what's in it for us when we're in this flow state. So,
I love it. And just to clarify for everyone listening, these guys are so much in flow. They are currently speaking from their RV by a lake in Italy, right? Just to set the scene.
Exactly. So I'm Peter Tiejeman, and I'm also a coach, and I've been in management consultant for over 25 years, and I completely changed my life starting a year 4 ago. And I really discovered what flow can do. And we are both, Seema and I, are on a mission to put this on the map. And so are a lot of other gurus in the field with us. It's really coming up now, and the world needs it. And yeah, we're on a mission. And now,
so there's so much here just to unpack straight away, guys. So I would love to know, first of all, can you describe what flow means to you?
It's a good question. So the first thing that comes up for me is it's a state of being.
Yeah.
It's a
Mind
state of mind. Yeah.
Mm.
And it's actually our natural state of being, we believe.
and I think everybody knows what we are talking about when you say it's state where there's no notion of time and everything just comes out of you. You got intuitive hits and there's creativity and you don't even know where it's coming from.
You're surprised yourself where it came from.
That state, and time is flying, and
you're in the zone. I think that's language that some people might be really
totally. So for me, I think of things like, when I was in school and I used to have art on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
That was my favorite ever session all week. So I'd be there with my paints and I wouldn't even notice the time going, and you come out so happy. And, so now I have that state when I'm cooking or when I'm running or doing yoga or something. And I teach this to a certain extent to my audience and clients by saying, you can find that state because you can replicate it. And you can, as we're going to dive into with you guys, there's like so many benefits from being in that state. So Peter and Seema, Peter particularly, how did you go from 25 years of management consultant stuff into being a flow artist in your RV? If you could just explain how that worked for us.
And before Peter answers that, let's add plus a background in engineering. Like he's left brain.
Yeah, I'm totally left brain. And it's I think it's following your guts. I started, we call it when we enter the zone of excellence, you're really good in the things you do, and the whole system and the people around you try to keep you there.
Yes.
And then, and I also see that with a lot of executives I coach, they are in a certain state and and what's next? I'm doing good, everybody. And then you start searching and then you feel like, actually, I want to do something completely different. And then there's always, and for me, it was working with people, which was always a thread throughout all my whole career. And I thought, maybe I'm going to do to learn some coaching skills. And then from one came the other. And before I know, I was a certified coach. And then I thought, what is a certified coach doing in a consultancy firm?
Yeah.
So if I want to really make this happen, I have to take a next step. So I quit my job, which the whole system around me declared me for stupid to do that, right? Because you have a good job, you have a good income, and you cannot earn any money. And that's what we call the big leap, right? Just stepping out of our zone of excellence and towards our zone of
Totally. And I was absolutely going to reference the Big Leap there as well. For those of you, listening that haven't read The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, is that what I would consider one of life's essential books.
Absolutely.
And we talk about, you were just talking there, Peter, about the zone of excellence, which a lot of us can operate in for a long time. And, like I know that I did certainly in my design career beforehand. It was great. I love design. I love being in that career. And you were really happy in your sort of management consultancy stuff with an engineering background. And you can do really well in your zone of excellence, but it's not where your genius is. It's not where your soul is
Exactly.
it?
And, and the moment where you realize that, correct me if I'm wrong for both of you, it's bitter, but it is sweet because I remember having the similar moments. I was national sales trainer, healthcare in the pharmaceutical industry, rocking it, rolling it, just launched a product, did really, really well. And then it was like, ooh, but there's something else. And it was scary on one hand, because it's the same as you, Peter. Like, how can I let go of income, status, the known, which is something, Joe, you talk a lot about, like getting out of the known place.
Yes.
And yet at the same time, it's like, but if I could just, show up more in this way, man, how sweet that would be.
Oh, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
And, Seema, I'd forgotten you were in the pharmaceutical. I mean, that's an incredible shift to go from that, high-paced sales to now, doing what you do, which we're going to dig into shortly. And you're so right, that sweet feeling. I remember one time when I'd quit my lovely job with my lovely friends in my lovely city, which I loved. I loved all of it, but I quit because I knew I had to literally be out of there to start exploring with no safety net, with no, I hadn't found this thing. I literally jumped. And I remember walking down the street, listening to music, just smiling. I had no money at all, but I was like, this is fine. This is where this part of the journey starts.
Yeah,
exactly. And I often use the concept of the hero's journey from Campbell, that you have this urge and you feel that you have to change. And then there's these guards and you have to go through these guards and then you go down the hill towards the dragon. And a lot of people, if the urge is not big enough or you're not strong enough, then you never pass the guards and you never start your journey at all.
And that's where the flow gets blocked.
Exactly. Yeah. And it takes something to really step into it. And what Gay Hendricks called the big leap.
It really is leap. So guys, can you explain what your work is now, because you guys are working together, right?
Yeah.
Which I love, this beautiful partnership that you're both co-creating your life's work together. So what do you guys do in a typical day in the flow van? Like, I want to hear.
We do nothing. We're just being happy. No, that's not completely true.
It's not true, yeah.
We do.
It starts there. It starts with being happy.
Exactly. And for us, flow is number one, and flow trumps time for us. So, but what
flow trumps time, like that. Yeah.
We both have our individual, still our coaching practice.
Yeah.
Meaning we have our individual clients, and we have calls from the van. So we try to plan it in a way that we don't have to call at the same time. But, the space is limited here, and so we both have our coaching clients, and
we've got a lot of the work we're doing now is also in the online world, just much like yourself. And we've got programs out there. So one of the programs that literally poured out while in the flow state. The whole program was designed as our Tap into Flow program. So it's that program that helps us move from, the place of what we talked about earlier, how we all were in our old jobs. So in our rational mind, in our beliefs system that are keeping us stuck, in the dragon slaying phase, and slowly by noticing moments that we are in flow, by dreaming again, which we have to come back to your question, how did we end up in a van? Because you were a big dreamer.
We're going to need to tell people how that happened. And we're going to fix that, aren't we? Yeah,
absolutely. But get people dreaming again. And that's one of the biggest places of flow I think we notice with our clients, that they've just kind of stopped. And the reason why we relate that to flow is if you're no longer dreaming, then you're pausing the flow of your desires. You're pausing the flow of your wants, of your thoughts, of your, and that's not a life full lived, we don't believe. And it doesn't have to be that way.
So coming back of what we're doing in the van is knowing this, we really start our morning rituals. And for me, that could be a run or a swim in the lake or wherever we are. And
for me, it's meditation or morning pages. I love morning pages to cleanse the mind. So one of our mottos is mornings are for cleansing, you know? Cleanse the flow pipes, so to speak.
So we really take the time to get into that flow state. And from there, we work on our online programs where Seema's more pulling the marketing side, and together we create the content. And I love to work on the back end. It's my engineering background to be creative there, creating the websites and membership sites and all that kind of stuff.
So you're creating content, you're tapping into what you need to do, and you're serving your clients and your audience on the road.
Exactly.
It's the epitome of being in flow. And I just, honestly, my heart just bursts with pride and with happiness for you both, because this is just such a beautiful illustration of living your dream. And I mean, I'm going to have you guys back on the show several times because there's so much to have here. And I want to talk about as well, so that leap that you made to live in the van, right? So we have known each other, Seema, probably for about 2 years or so in the online circles, right?
Yep.
And we've worked together on and off. And I was putting together some experimental ideation sessions at the start of the year. But for those of you who know my work, know that my content creation angle is always fueled, like everything I do is infused with creative thinking, which is why I adore what Seema and Peter are doing here, because flow and creativity are inherently linked, and we're going to delve into that. And so I was doing some ideation sessions with you guys, weren't we? And those sessions were creative thinking sessions. And we were doing some triggers based on films we'd watched, on books we'd read, on childhood toys, all sorts of stuff. We had a ton of fun. And as part of these sessions, I was sending clients at the time, I was sending some tiny adventures, so that in between the sessions, your brain would get used to creative thinking, which you guys were fully used to anyway. You were open all the way. And one of these adventures was to take a different route home. Is that right?
Your adventure was to do something different.
Right. So what happened?
And we had our own interpretation of that.
So the initial goal, so this is brilliant, you guys. First of all, this work that Joe's talking about is brilliant. Like, you say that we're open to it, and I got to say, the angle that you came from was so easy and effortless. I think that's why we took it on so well. But this beautiful thing. So here you are, you're saying to us, all right, guys, this weekend's adventure is to do something different. At the same time, we're in module 2 of our round. We're doing a live round of the Tap into Flow program, and it was about vision boards and dreaming. Okay. So we say, what can we do
together?
It's perfect. I hadn't realized that bit, actually. That's beautiful.
So we said, Joe says we're going to do something different. What can we do? So we thought maybe we'll go check out a museum on the way to Peter's parents' house, and museum was closed. And then at the same time, Peter says, all right, we are going to have a dreaming weekend. And I said, what's that? You want to share, Peter?
Yeah. So Dreaming Weekend is inspired by how Disney creates his products.
Yes.
That's only place for dreaming. No saboteurs, no restrictions in time, resources, or whatsoever. Just dream.
Yeah.
Just dream. Wouldn't it be nice if? And
so we thought, so how can we combine what Joe has given us and this? So Peter says, you know what we're going to do on the way to our parents' house, to his parents' house? We'll not take the same highway. Let's just take a detour, and perhaps we can stop off in a neighborhood where we might want to live next, because that was one of our dreams. Let's have a different house.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what we did, and we definitely found some nice houses. But we looked at each other after 10 minutes, and we were not really excited. And,
right.
It was flat.
Yeah, it was flat. It's this. Okay, we need to pump it up now. So, and then from there we did one of our exercises. Okay, what is it we don't want?
Oh, exciting!
And I was driving, and Seema took out a paper, a notebook, and started jotting down what we don't want, and from there what we want, and that really accelerated, right? And
one thing led to the
created
next.
an enormous momentum, and then
one thing leads to the next. One of the top feelings that we were after, because that's our key, figure out what are the feelings that you want. And top for us was freedom, adventure, and I think we had this feeling of newness or something.
Exactly.
And there it was. And so Peter says, all right, so we're just dreaming, right? I was like, yeah, we're just dreaming.
Just dreaming, no biggie, no
like getting
pressure.
permission to not be realistic, right?
Let's rent out the house, get a camper, and go travel for at least half a year.
Right? I mean,
And
just
so-
dreaming.
Just dreaming. And then it was my turn. I was like, we're just dreaming, right? He says, yeah. So then we just kept going, Joe. And this is one of the biggest things I think we took away from that weekend. We kept asking the question, and what would make it better?
Oh.
Make it better.
Yeah.
And that's where the creativity came in. And we started saying like, oh, we're going to like meet all sorts. We're going to come back with 1,000 flow ambassadors or.
Exactly. And we're going to these big cities and we will meet in circles there and
inspire. And
we literally going to put tap into flow or flow on the map.
Oh my goodness.
And the thing is, and this is how the law of attraction is working, we vibrationally, we created so much momentum in that direction and then we let go of it. And then we were at my parents, we had a good day, and in the night we drove back, and we can actually do that, you know it, right? Because our work is all, our coaching is all telecoaching, so we're not bound to one place. And then it started rolling, and within no time.
I remember having the sort of Facebook message audio from Seema going, Joe, we did the adventure and you're not going to believe it. And you said, and I want to go back to the law of attraction part there, because I know that your work with flow is really strongly linked with how that flow vibration attracts to you what you want. And you guys, that's such a strong illustration there, that you allowed yourselves to dream so much. You raised your vibration, you stepped into that picture, let go of it, went to go see family, did all that stuff. So you put all that stuff into momentum, into the vortex, as kind of Hicks would say, right? Yeah. And I remember as well that, when we were doing our brainstorms together, our creative brainstorms, I don't know, every time I do a brainstorm with people, we have the same vibration range, don't we? Because we are dreaming. We're in that state where we're saying, what do I think of next? I think this, I think that. And we just kind of let the ideas flow. And I remember, particularly with you guys, and I think this is because you are so in tune, a lot of the stuff that we dreamed about even on our brainstorms that were just triggered from random things actually happened. I remember you saying to me, oh my gosh, this is crazy. That brainstorm we did. And we were literally going from films, from books, sorts of things happened. And so, but now, isn't there research, guys, between what happens with flow and creativity? Tell me.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Yeah, I'll start and then you share the data, Peter, because he's found some great research to back it up. So to underline what you just said, Joe, you're so right that and you do this with your clients a lot. I've experienced this with you. When we can get into that flow state, law of attraction wise or flow state, yes, you're right. Things come to you, and those things, sometimes they're intangible, like ideas. Yeah. And sometimes they're tangible, like the funds to fund this entire trip. We have not borrowed money. We have not had to have investors. We thought, do we need investors for this? But literally the funds landed into our lap. Of course we needed to take some action. But the thing is, when you're in that state, there's no more buts. There's no more negative Nelly, if we want to call her that. Exactly. And then it's just idea after idea. And you'll notice the people around you, they ping you an idea, or you'll read an article and that will spark something or give you a sign. Everything just collides.
So I need to hear the specifics of how the money landed in your lap, because that is incredible. I remember you saying to me, we're going to do it. We don't know how to get the money yet for the RV. It's going to happen. Can you tell me how it did happen?
Yeah, so before you explain where it come from, we took a step further. We went out to see campers, and then we went to 2 places and just what kind of campers are there. And then we made a choice. We didn't want like a big thing, because in Italy and in Spain, the streets are really small and we didn't want to get stuck. So we said, okay, that's why we came with a van. The decision was made. And then we found an amazing one. Well, actually we found one and we were at home, and then Seema said, but they're brown and they're outdated. Wouldn't it be nice if there is one that is white and has a really like modern interior? And the next day we found one.
Like, no kidding, Joe. We're talking, I don't know if you know what RVs.
I've seen your, yeah.
So typically they're like brown and like this outdated,
They feel very 70s, don't they? Very
I was on Pinterest. I was like, okay, how do I upgrade? How can Peter paint it for me? Like what? And I fell in love with these white ones. And then, like Peter said, the next day I shared it with him. He's like, okay, let's see. The next day we walk into, and on the lot was the one you saw before this
exactly.
thing. Beautiful white interiors, dark chocolate brown cabinets. And again, that's the key to just dreaming and saying,
And let go.
Maybe it's possible.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice? And then we actually, that was on Saturday and on Friday, and on Saturday we were sitting and we said, you know what, let's buy it. We had no clue where to get the money from. So I said, let's buy it. And so I said, yeah, let's do. What's the worst that can happen? Well, the worst that can happen if we want to get it and we didn't pay, then we say, sorry, the money didn't come in or something.
So this is key. I want to underline what Peter's saying. Yeah. So we went there. What's the worst that could happen?
Right. Because that's usually where the shoulds come in, isn't it? It's like, all the can'ts and it wouldn't, it shouldn't happen like this. Okay.
Yeah. So worst case scenario, we said, Peter calls a guy over the phone, purchases the van, and then come 3 weeks when the money was due, we don't have it. Okay, so maybe we're a little embarrassed. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know if there'd be a ding or something.
And that is like the worst, isn't it? Really?
The worst.
Exactly.
But the best case scenarios, and then, this is key. So I remember Peter and I saying, if we truly are flow artists and we believe that things come to us, this idea came to us through a flow state, which means it's meant to happen, then we've got to test ourselves. We've got to trust.
Exactly.
And then Peter purchases.
I stepped on the motorbike, went there, signed the agreement, and came back, and I said, we did it. We have a camper. Okay.
So we celebrated, we jumped up and down, and my sister was visiting, and we high-fived, and then we're like, right, so the money.
We have 2 weeks.
So
wow, okay, yeah. So you went there, you signed the thing, and you had 2 weeks to actually get the cash.
Or 3 weeks, I think. Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks.
So here we are, paper in hand. We've purchased this van. Where do we get the money from? Now, this might trigger some people. So I'm just going to say that up front, because we have grown up in a society where we've been taught to save for retirement. Okay?
Right.
So we explored a lot of different options. First, we thought, okay, do we get a secondhand? No, so Peter purchased it by this point. So we said, okay, should we get investors? We talked to a couple of our cousins who are in the investment field, and they gave their tips, and they said, you know what, probably we don't think you'd want to go that route because forever on this trip, it'll be hanging over your head. Okay, cool. We talked to my dad, and he had talked about, hey, perhaps you want to sell your house and then take the income from there. Part of it, buy a new house. Part of it, you put into the camper. All right, so that's an idea. So we're in idea gathering phase, right? Still no commitment, just gathering ideas. Then we thought, all right, what if we do what's that thing called when you get a campaign online? You raise
like a crowdfund.
Crowdfunding. Looked into that, didn't really feel a resonance.
No, not in 3 weeks.
Not in 3 weeks. And then we thought, well, we've both got retirement funds. We've worked a big chunk of our lives in corporate. We have saved that money, and some of it. So originally we hadn't thought about it because typically it's locked in.
Right. That's what I was going to say. I think mine is locked.
Well, you know how the universe works.
Right.
So we give some calls to our financial planners, and I happened to speak to mine, and I said, hey, weird, crazy idea. So by the way, in Canada, some of it is locked, some of it is not.
Right.
So I emailed my lady and I was like, hey, is there by any chance, here's the idea, we need 80 grand. And is there any chance that we could take some out of my retirement funds? Sure enough, the answer comes back, actually, yes.
Wow.
So this is the trigger point, because some people might get triggered, like that's to save, but Peter and I really believe, like, number one, life is now.
Yes.
The flow also means that you are in a state of abundance. There's no scarcity in that state of mind, which is so freeing. And if not now, then when?
Right, because that retirement fund, I'm doing the air quotes thing here. What we save it all until we're like 70 odd, and then we might not have the,
exactly.
We might not even be here. And so, I love the fact that you guys went, right, do you know what? We saved it. It's there. We didn't even know that was possible. You explored those other ideas, and it came. Oh my gosh.
And this is the magic. There's something magical for our audience, your audience, to know that when you get into the flow state, and I think this is a good point for Peter to get into the data, when ideas come from there, trust that it came through you and it is meant to happen. And all what Esther calls the cooperative components, they will line up.
Yeah.
And the trust in that is huge, isn't it? Because I know myself, often I'll be dreaming really big and then I might stop. And then if the doubts come, then you're noticing the lack of the thing rather than the possibility of it, aren't you?
Yeah. And for the people who want to start in this, also in our course, we don't start in manifesting a camper on the first day. Start with something that it's not really important whether you manifest it or not, because then detachment is a really important cornerstone in our model for flow. Otherwise you get too detached to the outcome and then you're in the way of letting it emerge. That's not going to work. So you have to build up that trust.
Let's start with I want to manifest a blue butterfly. I think Pam Grout does a lot of this.
Yes.
It's brilliant.
I remember doing the E-Squared book and I was seeing purple feathers everywhere for days. And I was like, okay, universe, I get it.
That's brilliant. But what did that do for your belief?
Oh, I think that when you start small with something like that and you see the proof, you're like, yes, I am in tune with the universe. Yeah. And I think that this is quite an interesting one, because I was having this thought yesterday around dreaming big, because you guys have dreamt what I would say is really big. Like you allowed yourselves to dream and you've allowed yourselves to step into that. Do you think that people should dream enormously right out from the gates, or should we dream bigger from where we are right now and step into it and bigger again? How do you feel we should set those goals around how big life can get?
Good question.
And I think the way you said it is, how I want to state is in the flow state, dreaming is important. Don't make it a task. Don't start asking yourself, oh, am I big? Because then is my dream big enough? It's not about that. It's about getting in the dream in the first place. And if you are in a state of flow, it's like a double whopper or it's on the one hand, we believe you're connected to the collective consciousness. That's why creativity is boosted if you are in the flow state. You get ideas. You can tap into your intuition. That's the one. And the doubles, it's because you do that, you also get in the vibration. So you create momentum, you put it in your vortex, and you also start to manifest it.
Yeah.
So it's double momentum what you create there.
It's a good point. And Joe, I would add to that, sometimes, like what Peter alluded to, when we use the word big, it does sometimes trigger us. Like, are we doing it big enough? And that's our rational mind. And guess what? When our rational mind, our prefrontal cortex, is hyperactive, we're no longer in the flow state. They cannot exist at the same time.
Yeah.
That's your rational mind. And so it's almost like eliminate the word big and just dream. And I will share with you, this dream was not in my reality, was not in any of my dreams on any flow board that I've done or vision board that I've done for the past 30 whatever years. And that's because there was no pressure. So the tip I would give the listeners is anything you need to do to alleviate the pressure. If it illuminates you to think, oh, I'm dreaming big, then okay, go for it. But if you feel like when you say the word dream big, you feel resistant, you feel tight, you feel your inner critic coming up, let go of that word.
Yeah. If it becomes a shoot, then you're in the way of letting things happen. Yeah. And that's a flow blocker.
I'm totally guilty of that. I'm gonna put my hands right up, because I'm totally guilty of kind of almost making dreaming big a task, right? Yeah. Almost like on my Trello board, right? Okay, it's time to meditate and dream today. Then it's like, hey, that is so not what being in the flow is.
No,
like,
exactly. And the other day we had a chat with someone who asked us, but I'm so happy in this moment. Why do I need to have a big dream? And it's not about having a big dream. You can, even if you, like this morning, I sit out here in the sun and I look at the trees and I'm really happy. And then my dream could be like, imagine that every morning I can do this. It's not a big dream, but it's connecting to the feelings you're after. And that's the most important part. And sometimes you want to dream big. The other day, Seema said, look, this is the island of Richard Branson. And I want to be invited there. And I said, you know what? I want to have an island like that.
Yeah.
Right? And then all of a sudden you dream big. Yeah.
It's brilliant. I think just to underline this, effectively what we're saying is if your dream has you feel expansive, and if it triggers feelings of, like, I got shivers when Peter talked about the sun, if I could have this every day, if it gives you shivers, if it gives you that in the heart connected feeling, then it's big enough.
Yeah.
Oh, Seema, I love that. And, because I'm someone who does get that tight feeling. And I think that sometimes we feel like dreaming big has to be a financial big, right?
Yeah.
And then we start attaching all the shoulds. It's like, well, if I'm going after this income, it's like, hang on a minute, what feeling are you going after that income you think will give you?
This is brilliant.
Yes.
That's brilliant, especially for the entrepreneurs, because, in one of our mastermind calls on Monday, one of the phrases that came out was success is a feeling, not a number.
Right. Yes.
Isn't it? The number is for the external world to determine if we're successful. But for us, we believe as an individual, it's a feeling. And like you said, you get those feelings often. So if we can increase those feelings, heck yeah, that's success.
But also, when you increase those feelings, don't we show up differently for our clients? Yesterday is a great example. Oh, sorry, go on, Seema, go on.
No, I want to hear your example. I'll just say, and therefore, don't the numbers come anyways?
Oh my gosh, don't they? Yes. And so, in fact, this week is a great example. So, as my audience knows, I have some chronic health conditions which require leaning into them and being part of flow, right? Ebb and flow. I don't view myself as someone who's ill. I view myself as someone who listens to what my body needs, and I lean into that. So Monday I had to wipe the board and had to go back to bed pretty much for the whole day, and I didn't have resistance to it. I just let it happen. The ideas that arrived in my state of relaxation, although I didn't feel brilliant, I had download after download of things that will be really valuable for my audience to hear of stuff, because there's no resistance there was no blocking out of time of stuff that needs to happen. And so yesterday, I think as well, was kind of like, okay, so I've only slept half the day, I'm feeling better, okay, let's really into it. But I felt resistance to a certain task I was going to do. And I was like, well, fine, drop it, go away, do something else, lean into what lights you up and come back to it and nail it in 10 minutes. And I did, whenever you move away from something. And I spent yesterday afternoon after school with the kids, I was cooking with my daughters. We were just chatting, we were cooking. I had a glass of wine on the go. We cooked out, our kind of evening meal together. I sat and read research journals. And I was like, this for me right now is success. Bringing my family up, being present in the moment, creating food that nourishes us, having interesting conversations, being inspired and sitting with my partner and having discussions. This feeling for me right now is having it all.
Yeah. So what I hear you doing, and that's perfect. That is flow trumps time, what we said in the beginning.
Yeah.
And that's really true. And deadlines, like when I was in the corporate world, if you have a deadline, it's a really scary word. Deadline, right?
Dead. Yeah.
And what people do, they keep pushing. And as entrepreneurs, it's a little bit easier, because if there's a deadline but we don't feel the flow, then we let go of the deadline. And first there is the flow. And from there, if your productivity there are figures that say productivity increases 5 times, goes to almost 500%.
So pause for a moment. 500%. Increase in productivity.
So you could be slaving away at something, and the language there is really actually resonant of that feeling, isn't it? When you are you feel like you're strapped to your keyboard and you're just trying to get stuff done. But when you're not in that energy, if you're in resistance to what you're doing, step away, get into that state of flow, and when you come back to that task, you'll do it 500%. Did you say?
Yeah, that's in McKinsey research, and they say that there's a productivity boost if you're in the flow of 490%, so it's almost 5 times, and your creativity with 200% increase. So those are huge numbers.
So the effort, and if only businesses could harness this, right?
Yeah. Businesses, that would be brilliant. And at least as entrepreneurs, we have it in our hands to dictate what we're doing in our today life.
Right.
You do not need to be sitting, tapping, clicking away on the laptop all day long. And you modeled brilliantly during a state of being somewhat chill. Well, not somewhat, but chilled out, maybe a little bit ill, lying in bed. Boom, you got insights.
Yeah.
It wasn't a task. Creativity is not I don't know if creativity is a skill. I think it's a state of mind as well.
Totally. And, I'm mindful of, there's another time when I think I got to Friday and I had a ton of work, was building up, and I was feeling resistant to it. I was feeling resistant to doing all the stuff. And I think I remember telling you about this, Seema. I got on my bike and I put my laptop into my backpack, and I cycled around, because, where I live, I have all these sort of countryside paths and rivers, and it's beautiful. And I took myself out on a bike tour for the whole day, with a podcast in my ears. And I stopped off at various coffee shops, and kind of every time I stopped, I'd been inspired to kind of do 20 minutes of the task. And then I'd get back on my bike and I'd listen to something else. I'd, have some ideas come. Okay, cool. Stop again, do the task. At the end of the day, I'd cycled like 20 miles. I'd done all the stuff, and I've been out all day.
And what I love, you're moving your body. So that's another tip for the listeners. Like if you're feeling stuck in your head and so not in the flow state, move your body.
Yeah.
It's the reason why a lot of people say when they're in yoga classes, they get insights or they get ideas.
Yeah.
It's because they're activating another part of themselves, right? And
Right.
flow is also about energy, the movement of energy. It's either stagnant or it's circulating.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And it's so true. You know, whenever I give myself permission to have a day off is when I do the most work. It's like, you know, if you say to yourself, oh, today I'm just going to go and do some people watching and I'm going to, you know, visit a museum, or even if you give yourself an hour off, guys, you know, if a day feels too much, you need to start small, go for half an hour, but you will see that you get so much more done. A beautiful metric.
It is. And so just to share with you the metric Peter delivered to me this morning on a breakfast plate, he says to me, he says to me, and this is to like stretch the dream for others perhaps, he says to me, you know, we were doing our gratitude list as he said, and so that's one of the things we do in the morning to get into the flow state. And he says, you know, this trip, one of the biggest gifts of this trip is to step out of the system so that we can create our own. And I will never, he says, I will never go back to 8-hour work weeks. Work days. And I just looked at him. He said, you know, a work day is 3 to 4 hours. Now that's not including client time, but like office time, because we see the benefits of what you described, stepping out, hopping on a bike. You say it all the time, Joe, like go out and change your environment, you know, go sit at a cafe, sometimes even without a laptop. If you want, take a scratch pad.
Totally. Take a scratch pad, unplug, go and do something else. And guys, we're going to have a couple more follow-up episodes. You know, I need to delve in with you the research, the data that backs all this up that I know we've all been reading, and I want to, you know, unpack really how businesses can apply this stuff as well. How, you know, which businesses are applying it, and you know how other people who don't maybe fit with a Silicon Valley kind of innovation type business, you know, how they can start to apply some parts of flow into their business. But I mean, there's just been so much gold here from you guys in this first part. And I just have to acknowledge how much you inspire me to have you both in my life, you know, in my circle, because, you know, you are out there literally living the dream.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And it's an honor for us to be here, to be sharing this with you, to be creating with you actually. Because
always creating with you guys. So where can people find you?
First place they can find both of us is
in Italy.
In Italy, in a gelateria. And if they miss us there,
then we went out for a pizza.
Exactly.
So catch us online at www.tapintoflow.com, and there they can get access both Peter's and myself's bios and.
Or on our there's a Facebook page also called Tap Into Flow, and that's where we on a regular basis post videos and blogs and everything about our journey, what we learn, and
so if they want to spy on us, lurk around, they can check us out there as well.
Tap Into Flow on Facebook or tapintoflow.com.
Tap Into Flow, and we can check out your course. And obviously, guys, everything is going to be in the show notes. I'm going to be linking to, you know, the lovely Seema and Peter and their work. And guys, will you come back for part 2?
Oh, we would love to. We would love to.
We'll be honored.
What's forming now, Peter's designing, he goes into the flow state and he's getting a model. So perhaps next time we can share the flow model with you.
Yes, that would be amazing. And actually, here's my dream. I'm just going to put it out. The next time we all record from the van. I mean, right?
You promised you'd come visit and sleep in a tent.
I need to come on this flow trip with you. So that is my dream. And that is what I'm dreaming up for next. So that is my promise to you guys, that I will be recording with you from your RV for the next time around.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Maybe in Naples or in Sicily.
I mean, I'm open to ideas, you know. I'm open to ideas. I love it. Thank you so much for being on the show. So guys, if you're listening, you know, please check out the work, you know, the amazing work of Seema and Peter. And if this has inspired you, then, you know, leave us a comment, you know, let us know, you know, what's inspired you to take action and how you're going to start dreaming and applying flow into your life. Seema and Peter, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Joe.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.